This video comes from my Archaeology Corroborates the Bible series. Entries in this series are based on the book Unearthing the Bible, written by Titus Kennedy. Kennedy looks at 101 archaeological discoveries that bring the Bible to life. Dr. Titus Kennedy is a professional field archaeologist, an adjunct professor at Biola University, a research fellow at Discovery Institute, and has been a consultant, writer, and guide for history and archaeology documentaries and curricula. Kennedy currently directs archaeological projects in Bible lands, and he has researched and photographed artifacts from around the world. Artifacts left behind from the vanished ancient world of the Bible have been found and recovered through archaeology. What is an artifact? In simple terms, an artifact is an ancient object made or modified by humans, and many have been found, especially in recent years, at archaeological sites around the world. Artifacts include statues, altars, jewelry, weapons, tools, inscriptions, paintings, coins, scarabs, tablets, papyri, stelae, reliefs, and pottery, showcasing the artistic and technological prowess of the ancients. But more importantly, artifacts tell stories of the past. They serve as both visual and informational aids that provide insight into that ancient context and toward an accurate understanding and interpretation. The Bible is a collection of books written millennia ago in places and cultures far removed from modern readers, but artifacts can give us essential knowledge of the ancient world and help us avoid the problem of unconsciously or inadvertently viewing a passage or book in the context of a modern society and time. Because the Bible contains stories from the ancient world, written in a style different than the method of modern historians and paired with theology, many have assumed that the narratives in the Bible are myth, legend, and propaganda instead of accurate history. In fact, the majority of scholars, most media and educational sources, and many in the general public regard the Bible as a fairy tale and frequently portray it as unimportant or irrelevant beyond literary and religious studies. For years, the Bible has been routinely attacked and disregarded on the basis of history or archaeology. And yet, when people look into what archaeologists have unearthed, a different story comes to light, showing that instead of fiction and fairy tales, archaeology indicates that the Bible preserves an accurate recounting of the history addressed in its pages. Specifically, hundreds of artifacts from the distant past have demonstrated the events, people, and places in the Bible to be historical. Camels, both the dromedary, single hump, and Bactrian, double hump types, were used in the ancient Near East as pack animals for transportation, for their milk, and even for their hair. Although debate continues as to the exact date when camels were first used as domesticated animals in the Near East, and especially when they began to use for transportation in particular regions, archaeological evidence suggests that this had probably happened by at least 2000 BC, around the beginning of the Middle Bronze Age. For example, cylinder seal of carved hermatite and measuring 1.3 centimeters in diameter, found in Syria and dated to about 1800 to 1650 BC, shows two people riding on the humps of a Bactrian camel. These figures, which were probably representing a king and queen, indicate that the idea of riding camels was already known in northern Mesopotamia and the Levant by this time. The Levant is a region of the Middle East, including modern Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, and the Palestinian territories. Documents such as a Sumerian text from Nippur in about 1900 BC mentioning camel milk, a tablet from Ugarit dating to 1900 BC, including a camel and a list of domesticated animals, and a 15th century BC ration list from Alalakh recording food for a camel demonstrate that camels had been domesticated by the Middle Bronze Age. In Egypt, petroglyphs, images or writing carved into a rock surface from the Old Kingdom at Aswan, from the Middle Kingdom at Wadi Nasib, depict camels being used as pack animals. Far to the east in Turkmenistan, models of Bactrian camels yoked to carts were discovered, that date to about 2600 BC. Bioartifacts such as camel bones and even woven camel hair from the 3rd millennium BC have been discovered in Persia, Arabia, Egypt, and the Levant, suggesting that camels were kept in cities as domesticated animals. During the Middle Bronze Age in Mesopotamia, the Levant, and Egypt at the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Laban, camels are mentioned in the book of Genesis as transportation, pack animals, and for milk, which coincides with archaeological finds concerning camels in this period. So we see that the reference in the Bible to camels matches with the archaeological findings that seem to show that they were around and in that region at that time. Genesis 24:32 says, quote, "Then he unloaded the camels and he gave straw to feed the camels."
I see the evidence of your goodness all